Nothing's gonna hold us back. Say hey if you're with me. I know you know that I think you're beautiful, baby, I do. It's stars in my eyes when I hang out with you. So let's take this city. Say hey if you're with me. I got you now, I got you. Finally, I got you. I got you now, I got you. Finally, this is my city. Remember that I'm by your side. You don't have to worry. We don't have to hide, 'cause we built this place mud on our hands. They think we're crazy, they don't understand. So let's take this city. Are you with me? I got you now, I got you. Finally.
Usain Bolt has stopped! Usain Bolt has stopped at the 50-metre line! Oh, that is a pity! 5. Apollo, you're on course. 226 hours to the moon orbit.
Okay, thanks, Houston. But I think we'll be heading back now.
Come again?
Yeah, it was kind of fun. But I think halfway will do. Job done.
Good night.
That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
The things you
Hello. Good afternoon. So we are deeply honoured and extremely pleased to be able to welcome the man who holds in his hand and his heart the progress of all of the SDGs. Please join me in welcoming His Excellency, the Permanent Representative of the wonderful Pacific island of Fiji to the United Nations, Peter Thompson. He is the President of the 71st General Assembly of the United Nations. Peter Thompson.
Thank you very much for that welcome, and it's great to be with you all here this afternoon. To Rachel Kite, the Chief Executive Officer of SE4All, and Excellencies and ladies and gentlemen. Let me begin by thanking the organizers of the forum. It's a great gathering, no doubt about it. By speaking at the closing of the ceremony, I'm in the happy position of being able to say that we've observed this immense activity and ambition and commitment to action and, yes, energy that the more than 1,200 people have brought to this forum over the last couple of days. It enables me also to congratulate the organizers and you, the participants in the great success of this gathering. I'm very happy to recognize Mary Robinson, who was on the podium with me this morning at an ECOSOC meeting at the United Nations on partnership. And partnership, of course, is what SE4All is all about. So, ladies and gentlemen, as we meet today, nearly 1.1 billion people around the world do not have access to electricity. That means something to me. I began my career in government in 1972 in Fiji as a district officer, straight out of university with a degree in development studies. And the district that was assigned to me, there was no electricity. And so I lived for the first 3 years of my government career in a district which included many mountainous areas and many island areas. And it's just amazing to me, too, when I see the development in that district today, to remember that when it got dark, it got dark. And how we used to talk about electricity, the lack of electricity, and what that meant for the education of our kids in the district. And it's one of the reasons why I've maintained my connection with some of these SDGs, SDG 7 on energy, but SDG 6 on water supply and sanitation was something that I was absorbed with back in those early days of my government career. We can also say that fossil fuels account for the great majority of CO2 emissions, and that, as we all know, the global temperatures are rising to new heights. So the impacts of climate change are upon us. Terrible drought and famine currently affect many African nations. I just came back from Senegal and Ethiopia and Egypt on the weekend. And devastating mudslides on this weekend in Colombia. These are manifestations of long predicted severe weather patterns. In my own country, Fiji, last year, the most powerful storm ever to make landfall in the southern hemisphere devastated large parts of our country, which we're still recovering from. So how quickly the hard-won development gains can be reversed by these severe weather events. With global attention now rightly shifting towards the Paris Agreement on climate change and, of course, on the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, the imperative is there for the international community to use the transformative potential of sustainable energy to combat adverse effects of climate change, and at the same time to achieve universal access to affordable, reliable and modern energy for all. Coming from a small island developing state like Fiji, the importance of the clean energy revolution could not be clearer. For most small island developing states, access to affordable energy remains a major constraint to sustainable economic development, with most states continuing to be dependent on imported fossil fuels for electricity. Given the existential threat that climate change poses to their homes, they must be empowered to sustainably utilize the renewable energy resources, particularly solar and water and wind and geothermal, with which they are endowed. And ultimately, I have faith that the technologies will be unleashed for using the power of the ocean itself as renewable energy. Properly harnessed, these resources could meet the majority of these countries' agricultural, industrial and household needs, while also decreasing electricity costs and creating decent jobs. Doing so requires further improvements in cost competitiveness, and it requires international support to enable developing countries to transition their energy systems, including through capacity building and technical expertise for renewable energy policies and projects. In order for the international community to drive progress at the speed and scale necessary to achieve Sustainable Development Goal 7, a number of critical and complementary steps present themselves not only to transform the global energy system, but also to cause the multiplier effects that will help us meet all 17 of the SDGs. Firstly, we must establish policy and regulatory frameworks to mobilize collective action to drive this sustainable energy transformation. This includes by setting national energy efficiency targets, developing integrated energy plans that feed into the nationally determined contributions under the Paris Agreement, and setting clear energy price signals for the market in order to enable the creation of an enabling investment climate to help close the energy access gap. Secondly, we must build strategic and innovative partnerships that bring together governments, civil society, the private sector, the academic and the scientific communities, and the financial institutions to drive inclusive and coordinated action for sustainable energy and for development. Thirdly, we must work with the private sector on SDG implementation, including by encouraging private companies to set corporate energy efficiency goals, to purchase renewable and clean energy, and to pursue advances across the energy sector that can help drive SDG action. Fourthly, people say you shouldn't go beyond 3, but here we go. Fourthly, I hope I've still got your attention. Fourthly, we must work together to mobilize the estimated $770 billion. I got your attention. $770 billion needed annually until 2030 to drive the transition to renewable energy and to achieve SDG 7. This includes by mobilizing investments from the public and private, blended and alternative sources to help close gaps in the financial supply chain for sustainable energy and meet internationally agreed climate goals. We must ensure that we take advantage of the current window of opportunity that exists to direct investments towards sustainable energy infrastructure as a result of the historically low interest rates and large pools of capital assets in low-yield investments. And finally, we must look at opportunities to harness the rapid pace of advances in innovation and disruptive technologies to leapfrog high-carbon models, to spur green economic growth and drive the sustainable energy transformation. That is where I place my greatest hope. Ladies and gentlemen, in all of this, of course, political leadership is vital. So too are initiatives such as the Sustainable Energy for All Forum, to catalyze collaboration and cooperation necessary to achieve clean and affordable energy for all. In this regard, I believe the leadership of the Sustainable Energy for All is critical, particularly in bringing together broad-ranging stakeholders, all of you, to discuss ideas, broker partnerships, spur investment and drive renewable energy action. Ladies and gentlemen, for my part, I am committed to doing all I can to bring governments, civil society, investors and innovators together to help drive a universal push to implement the Sustainable Development Goals, including, of course, SDG 7. To this end, I've organized a series of high-level SDG action events as key drivers on sustainable development. To date, I've convened high-level events on sustaining peace and sustainable development, the synergies between the two, and on climate action and its impact on sustainable development. I'll soon be convening an SDG financing lab, in fact on the 18th of April, and I understand that Rachel Kite will be there as the moderator for the high-level panel. A very important event on the 17th of May on innovation and collaboration as a result of a visit that I made recently to Silicon Valley and the effect that these disruptive technologies that are so emerging at such an exponential rate can have on our implementation of the Sustainable Development Goals. We don't have to do things the old way. And in terms of making those sort of changes, there's an event on education, which is, of course, at the heart of everything. And as well as looking at the traditional aspect of education and how we're going to direct more finance towards it, also the effect of innovation and technology on education. With the whole world being connected to the internet by within a decade, we have huge opportunities to lift our game in terms of what we can do for the education of the kids who are entering school now or who are not entering school now and need to. As I'm sure you know, the Ocean Conference will be held at the United Nations from the 5th to the 9th of June to drive action to support SDG 14 and save life in our ocean. If you think that that sounds overblown, I'm here to tell you that life in our ocean is in severe crisis, that the ocean is in a cycle, caught in a cycle of decline, whether it be marine pollution or whether it be the effects of energy, i.e. carbon-based energy, leading to higher CO2 levels in the atmosphere, leading to ocean acidification, leading to ocean warming, leading to rising sea level, and fish leaving the tropics for temperate waters. All of that. So that ocean conference is a make or break week for the health of the ocean. And we're going to make sure that it succeeds. All of these events seek to catalyze cross-cutting SDG implementation action, and therefore encouraging all stakeholders to participate positively in these SDG action events. In particular, I call on the renewable energy sector today to register bold voluntary commitments on the Ocean Conference website. It's open to all. Ladies and gentlemen, if we are to realize the transformative potential of the 2030 Agenda and set humanity firmly on the path towards a sustainable future for all, we must prioritize action on affordable and clean energy, both as a goal in itself and as a driver to help meet all the other SDGs. Therefore, your work to help free humanity from high carbon energy models and provide universal access to clean and affordable energy sources meets one of the greatest challenges of our time. I wish you every success in your efforts as you leave this forum to get on with the tasks at hand. It's no exaggeration to say that the welfare of our children, our grandchildren, and future generations of humanity depends on the success of these efforts. And I thank you.
Peter, thank you so much for coming down the East River from the UN to Brooklyn. And before I just say a few words to wrap this up, I need to say two thank yous. First of all, an event like this doesn't just happen on its own. It's happened because of an extraordinarily dedicated, passionate team of staff in the global team of SE4All, complemented by extraordinary volunteers and consultants and contractors. You know who you are. You stand up if you had a little part in this, and could everybody please join me in thanking them? They've worked extraordinarily hard. My second thank you is to all of you. This, we hoped, would be a forum. When I came out here on the very first morning, I said, look, this is your forum, it's our forum, this is your movement. We've tried to build a space where you can come and you can commit to action, find each other, spur each other on, drive forward towards our shared goals. We tried to construct a virtual marketplace, and over the course of the last 3 days, we've seen transaction in terms of partnerships, relationships, even deals, I think, done at the back of the room. So I want to thank you for coming. I want to thank you for making this the vibrant space that it has been for the last 3 days. Thank you. I've been absolutely bowled over, and somebody was literally bowled over right then. I've been bowled over by the ingenuity, by the passion, by the brilliance of the insights, the sharp focus, the discipline. everything that you've brought together here, all behind the shared commitment of what it would take to realise these goals, to reach SDG 7. And you know, Peter, it's almost palpable at times that we believe that this can be done. Every lesson here has been built on the evidence, the data. Data is not everything, but knowing where we came from, knowing where we are, and therefore where we will go is a very big, important part of this. Launching the Global Tracking Framework on Monday, that dashboard that we share, it's not perfect, but it's good enough to give us an orientation, has really rooted us in what's working, rooted us in what we should be celebrating, rooted us in what isn't working and where we need to simply double down and work harder. I'm pleased that we've been able to take the moments and celebrate, where we've been able to take a moment and celebrate our success and be inspired by each other. And I'm really pleased that we have collectively found the courage to look in on where we're not having enough impact, where we're not making enough progress. And I've seen really hard work going on in partner working sessions about, well, what are we going to do to go to the next level? That collective courage to interrogate ourselves so that we can be fitter, to go further, faster, I think is the true mark of a real movement. I think what we've also seen is if we add up everything that's going on in this room, it really is extraordinary, but we know that we're not on track. And at this rate, we are going to break the promise to each other, the promise that was enshrined in that remarkable moment in the General Assembly Hall when everybody agreed to the SDGs in September 2015. But most of all, I'm full of hope. I'm full of hope because you brought stories here. You told stories, you shared stories, the story of action, the story of what it meant, the story of personal transformation, the remarkable stories from the network from Energia and Solar Sisters and others that were going on this morning down that end of the hall. But off those stories is a commitment to even greater action. For example, in just 3 short days, the government of Chile, working with District Energy and Cities Initiative, has launched a strategy to tackle air pollution and improve air quality for their citizens. EP100, the alliance of companies that are committing to doubling their energy efficiency, announced that Woolworths from South Africa is joining. They will double their energy productivity by 2020. The Microgrid Investment Accelerator launched a first-of-its-kind facility, seeking to mobilise 50 million via public-private partnerships in just between 2018 and 2020 for energy in India, Indonesia and East Africa, with 2 blue-ribbon tech investors looking for complementary investment from some of you in this room. I'm not looking at anybody particular, and for others who are not here. We saw, with a huge push from HEVOS from the Netherlands, high-level representation from governments and private sector and civil society, sitting down and working through what it would take for an intensified partnership between sectors to really work on the decentralised solution for access. REN21, an absolutely incredible partner in the data and the evidence and the mobilisation around renewable energy, published the Renewables Global Futures report, analysing the views of more than 100 energy experts on the feasibility of achieving 100% renewable energy in the future. 5 more cities joined the Building Efficiency Accelerator. And then just this afternoon, we launched with an invitation to join those who are already in leadership, a people-centred accelerator, a partnership to advance gender equality, social inclusion and women's empowerment in pursuit of SDG 7. Smart Villages, a fantastic organisation. If you didn't meet them before you leave, underscored the enormous knowledge base at the local level, how essential informed consent is in informing and helping deliver energy access for all. And this morning, Sustainable Energy for All, Humboldt, working with faith communities from around the world with the Wallace Global Fund and Green Faith, offered a call to action called Shine, an opportunity to mobilise civil society, faith and philanthropy to bring new sources of capital, resources, technical assistance and ideas in pursuit of closing the energy access gap, in ending energy poverty. All of that and more, check on the website, check on our Twitter feed in just 3 days. but let's be honest, we look each other in the eye, we know we're not on track. There's still much to be done. We're not going far enough, we're not going fast enough, but I can see that each of you is rising to the challenge and you're lifting each other up. So if you are an organisation that's doing incredible work to improve energy efficiency, including energy efficiency on the demand side, the appliances and the things that we need to have a productive economy, can you come forward? Can you come and stand on the stage, around the stage? And if you are an organisation or a business, an individual that's doing vital work to scale up renewables, either in the centralised, the decentralised space, small, large, big, I don't care, modern, not.
I've been told to stand in this circle.
And if you're trying to bring clean cooking, a variety of clean cooking options to the 3 billion people who don't yet have them, can you come up here? Because in 2030 you'll be able to cook from gas, from solar induction, from stoves we can't even imagine yet. If you have got any part of this story, can you come up here? Minister of Health, you should be here. Okay, look around, look up. 2030 is tough. We've got photographers here. And then look at each other. Take the hand of the person next to you. Look in their eyes. Have a moment. Okay, this is us. This is the we in We the Peoples. This is the we in We the Peoples determined. This is what it's going to take. This is sustainable energy for all. This is dignity for all. This is getting it done. This is going faster, further, together. Thank you.
I shouldn't do, but you dance, 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 and ain't nobody leaving soon, so keep dancing. I can't stop the feeling, so just dance, dance, dance. I can't stop the feeling, so just dance, dance, dance. Ooh, it's something magical. It's in the air, it's in my blood, it's rushing on. I don't need no reason, don't need control. I fly so high, no ceiling when I'm in my zone. 'Cause I got that sunshine in my pocket, got that good soul.